she's off at 105 years old in a class all by herself and with a fresh picked flower in her hair. Julia Hawkins was running for the record books at the Louisiana Senior Olympic Games.
Meet Julia Hawkins. She's 108 years old, and she's faster than most people half her age. While most people are struggling to get off the couch at 70, Julia is breaking world records on the track. She didn't start running until she was 100 years old. Let that sink in for a moment. But here's what's really mind-blowing. Julia doesn't just run, she thrives. Her mind is sharp, her energy is incredible. And when you ask her how old she feels, she'll tell you somewhere around 60 or 70. So what's her secret? Is it genetics? Some expensive anti-aging treatment? A miracle pill? Nope. It's 5 simple foods that she eats almost every single day. And today we're going to break down exactly what these foods are, why they work, and how you can start eating them today to potentially add years to your life. Stick around until the end because food number 5 is something 90% of people eat completely wrong, and Julia's method might shock you. Before we dive into the foods, let me tell you something incredible about Julia Hawkins. This woman is not your typical great-grandmother. She's Hurricane Hawkins. And yes, that's her actual nickname, because when she hits the track, she moves like a force of nature. Julia spent most of her life as a teacher in Louisiana. She lived a normal life, raised a family, and enjoyed gardening. But at 100 years old, when most people are winding down, Julia decided to wind up. She started running, not just walking around the block, actually running, competing, setting records. At 101, she set a world record in the 100-meter dash for her age group. At 103, she did it again, and she hasn't stopped since. But here's what I find fascinating. When researchers and journalists ask her about her longevity, she doesn't talk about running first. She talks about food. She's always said that what you put in your body is more important than how you move it. And looking at her results, it's hard to argue with that logic. Julia follows what she calls a common-sense diet. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive. Just 5 foods that she believes are the foundation of her incredible health. And science? Well, it backs her up completely. Now, before we get into food number 1, I want to ask you something. How many videos have you watched about health and longevity? Probably dozens, right? Maybe even hundreds. And here's the thing. If you're watching this right now, you care about living longer and feeling better. You're not just scrolling mindlessly. You're here for a reason. But let me ask you this. Are you actually doing anything with this information? Or are you just collecting it? Because here's the truth. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. So here's what I want you to do. If you're serious about this, if you really want to make a change, hit that subscribe button right now. Not later. Not after the video. Right now. Because subscribing isn't just about supporting this channel. It's about making a commitment to yourself that you're going to take your health seriously. All right, let's get into food number 1. Julia Hawkins eats bananas almost every single day, and she's been doing it for decades. Now I know what you're thinking. Bananas? That's it? That's the big secret? But hold on, because there's way more to this yellow powerhouse than you realize. First, let's talk about potassium. One medium banana contains about 422 milligrams of potassium. That's roughly 12% of your daily requirement. Why does this matter? Because potassium is absolutely critical for heart health. It helps regulate blood pressure by counteracting the effects of sodium. And when you're 108 years old with a healthy heart, you're doing something right. But here's where it gets interesting. Potassium also plays a massive role in muscle function. It helps your muscles contract properly and prevents cramping. This is why you see athletes eating bananas before competition. Julia knows this. She eats a banana about an hour before she runs. Now let's talk about sleep. And this is huge because quality sleep is one of the most underrated anti-aging tools we have. Bananas contain tryptophan. Your body converts tryptophan into serotonin and melatonin. These are the brain's natural calming hormones. They help you fall asleep faster and sleep deeper. Julia has mentioned in interviews that she sleeps incredibly well, 7 to 8 hours every night, and she partially credits her evening banana for this. But wait, there's more. Bananas are also rich in vitamin B6, which supports brain health and cognitive function. A study from 2022 published in the Journal of Nutritional Science found that adequate B6 intake is associated with a 20% lower risk of cognitive decline in adults over 65. And here's the kicker. Bananas are one of the few fruits that actually get better as they age. Those brown spots you see? That's the starch converting to sugar, making them easier to digest and actually increasing their antioxidant levels. Julia prefers her bananas with just a few brown spots, not completely green, not totally brown. Right in that sweet spot. So that's food number 1, simple, affordable, effective. Food number 2 is natural yogurt. And I need to emphasize the word natural because this is where most people mess up. Julia eats plain, unsweetened yogurt. No flavors, no added sugar, no fancy marketing. Now, why is yogurt so powerful for longevity? Let's start with probiotics. These are the live bacteria that live in your gut and help digest food, produce vitamins, and protect against harmful bacteria. Your gut microbiome is like a rainforest. When it's healthy and diverse, your entire body thrives. When it's damaged, everything suffers. A groundbreaking study from Harvard in 2021 followed over 200,000 people for 30 years. They found that people who ate yogurt regularly had a 19% lower risk of cardiovascular disease. 19%. That's massive. But here's what really caught my attention. Yogurt consumption was also linked to better bone density, and we're not just talking about a little improvement. Regular yogurt eaters had up to 30% stronger bones in their spine and hips. Julia is 108 and has never broken a bone, not once. She attributes this partially to her daily yogurt habit. Now let's talk about protein. As we age, we lose muscle mass. It's called sarcopenia, and it's one of the main reasons elderly people become frail and lose independence. Julia gets about 15 to 20 grams of protein from her morning yogurt. She often adds her banana to it, creating a powerhouse breakfast that fuels her entire morning. But here's the critical part. Not all yogurt is created equal. Most yogurts you see in the supermarket are loaded with sugar. Some have more sugar than a candy bar. That's not yogurt, that's dessert. Julia buys plain Greek yogurt with live active cultures. She reads the label. She makes sure there's no added sugar. And if she wants sweetness, she adds fresh fruit. This is the difference between eating for taste and eating for longevity. Julia chose longevity. And at 108, I'd say she made the right choice. Quick question for you. Where are you watching this from right now? Are you in the United States, Europe, Asia, South America, Australia? Drop a comment right now and let me know your country and city. I'm genuinely curious to see how far this message is spreading. Because here's the thing. Julia's story isn't just inspiring people in Louisiana. It's inspiring people all over the world. And that tells me something important. We all want the same thing. We want to live longer, feel better, stay independent, maintain our dignity as we age. So comment below right now. Tell me where you're watching from. And while you're at it, tell me which of these foods you already eat regularly. I read every single comment, and I love hearing from you. All right, let's keep going. Food number 3 is where things get really interesting. Julia Hawkins has a rule. Every lunch and dinner includes leafy greens, no exceptions. Her favorites? Spinach, kale, and broccoli. Now these aren't just healthy vegetables. These are legitimate anti-aging powerhouses, and the science behind them is absolutely incredible. Let's start with spinach. 1 cup of raw spinach contains more vitamin K than you need in an entire day. Vitamin K is critical for blood clotting and bone health. But recent research has uncovered something even more exciting. A study from 2023 at Rush University in Chicago found that people who ate 1 serving of leafy greens per day had brains that were 11 years younger than people who didn't eat greens. 11 years. Let that sink in. The researchers believe it's because of the high levels of vitamin K, lutein, folate, and beta-carotene found in these vegetables. These nutrients protect brain cells from oxidative stress and inflammation. Julia's mind is sharp as a tack at 108. She still reads every day. She remembers details from decades ago. And she credits her leafy greens for this mental clarity. Now let's talk about kale. This vegetable is often called a superfood, and for once the hype is actually justified. Kale contains compounds called glucosinolates. When you chew kale, these compounds break down into substances that have been shown to fight cancer. A meta-analysis of 67 studies found that high consumption of cruciferous vegetables like kale was associated with a 17% lower risk of cancer overall. But here's what's really fascinating. Kale is also one of the richest sources of lutein and zeaxanthin. These are antioxidants that concentrate in your eyes and protect against macular degeneration and cataracts. Julia has better vision than most 70-year-olds. She doesn't wear glasses for distance, and she believes her daily kale intake plays a role in this. Now, broccoli. This is Julia's favorite vegetable, and she eats it at least 4 times a week. Broccoli contains more vitamin C than an orange. 1 cup gives you 135% of your daily requirement. Vitamin C is crucial for collagen production, which keeps your skin elastic and your joints flexible. But broccoli also contains sulforaphane, which is one of the most powerful natural anti-aging compounds we've discovered. Sulforaphane activates your body's own antioxidant defenses. It's like flipping on a switch that makes your cells more resistant to aging. A study from 2019 found that sulforaphane supplementation improved markers of aging in middle-aged adults. Their inflammation decreased, their cellular function improved, and their biological age actually went down. Julia doesn't take supplements. She gets her sulforaphane straight from broccoli. She steams it lightly, never overcooks it, and often eats it with a little olive oil to help absorb the fat-soluble vitamins. One more thing about leafy greens. They're incredibly low in calories but high in fiber. This means you can eat a lot of them without gaining weight. Julia maintains a healthy weight effortlessly because half her plate at every meal is vegetables. She's never been on a diet, never counted calories. She just eats real food, and her body naturally maintains its ideal weight. Food number 4 is where Julia breaks from traditional American eating. She rarely eats meat. Instead, she gets most of her protein from beans and lentils. Now, this might surprise you. We've been told for decades that we need meat for protein and strength. But Julia is living proof that plant-based protein works just as well, if not better. Let's look at the data. The longest living populations in the world, the blue zones, all share one thing in common. They eat beans. A lot of beans. In Okinawa, Japan, people eat soybeans and tofu daily. In Sardinia, Italy, it's fava beans and lentils. In Loma Linda, California, it's a variety of legumes. These populations have 10 times more centenarians than the United States. Beans are nutritional powerhouses. They're loaded with protein, fiber, iron, magnesium, and potassium. But here's what makes them special for longevity. Beans contain resistant starch. This is a type of carbohydrate that doesn't get digested in your small intestine. Instead, it travels to your colon where it feeds your beneficial gut bacteria. Remember when we talked about probiotics in yogurt? Well, beans provide the food for those probiotics. This combination is incredibly powerful for gut health, which is directly linked to overall longevity. A massive study published in 2023 analyzing data from over 400,000 people found that eating just half a cup of beans daily was associated with a 10% reduction in all-cause mortality. That means you're 10% less likely to die from any cause if you eat beans regularly. Julia's favorite beans are black beans and lentils. She makes a big pot of bean soup every week and eats it for lunch several times. It's simple, it's cheap, and it's incredibly effective. Now here's the part about meat that's important to understand. Multiple studies have shown that high red meat consumption is linked to increased risk of heart disease, cancer, and early death. A 2022 study from Harvard following over 120,000 people for 30 years found that replacing just 1 serving of red meat with beans reduced mortality risk by 17%. Julia figured this out decades ago, She doesn't eat red meat. Occasionally she'll have fish, but her primary protein source is beans and lentils. And at 108, running track and field, I'd say her protein intake is working just fine. One more thing, beans are incredibly affordable. For the price of one steak, you can buy enough beans to last a month. Julia has always been practical. She eats for health, not for status. And her bank account and her body both thank her for it. You know what's interesting? Right now, there are two types of people watching this video. The first type is taking notes. They're planning their grocery list. They're thinking about how to incorporate these foods into their life. They're serious about change. The second type is just watching. They'll finish this video, say that was interesting, and then go back to eating the same way they always have. Which type are you? If you're the first type, if you're serious about this, then do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel right now, because I'm going to keep bringing you this content. Real people, real results, real science. But more importantly, subscribing is a signal to yourself. It's you saying, I'm committed to learning. I'm committed to changing. And while you're at it, comment below and tell me, which of these 5 foods are you going to start eating this week? Just one word: bananas, yogurt, greens, beans, or the one we're about to cover. Because accountability matters. When you publicly commit to something, you're more likely to follow through. All right, let's get to food number 5. And this one is crucial. The 5th and final food that Julia Hawkins eats every single day is nuts. Specifically, almonds and walnuts. And here's where most people get it completely wrong. They either don't eat nuts at all, or they eat them covered in salt, sugar, or chocolate. Julia eats raw, unsalted nuts. A small handful every day as a snack. And the health benefits are absolutely staggering. Let's start with almonds. These little powerhouses are packed with vitamin E, which is one of the most important antioxidants for skin health and cellular protection. A study from 2022 found that people who ate almonds regularly had 23% lower levels of oxidative stress markers. That means their cells were aging more slowly at a molecular level. Almonds are also rich in healthy monounsaturated fats. These fats help reduce LDL cholesterol, the bad kind, while maintaining HDL cholesterol, the good kind. This is crucial for heart health as we age. But here's what really caught my attention. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine followed over 118,000 people for 30 years. They found that people who ate nuts 5 or more times per week lived an average of 2.9 years longer than people who never ate nuts. Almost 3 extra years of life from something as simple as eating nuts. That's incredible. Now let's talk about walnuts. These are Julia's absolute favorite, and for good reason. Walnuts are the richest nut source of omega-3 fatty acids. These fats are critical for brain health, reducing inflammation, and protecting against cognitive decline. A UCLA study from 2023 found that eating walnuts improved memory and cognitive function in adults over 60. The improvement was significant and measurable on standardized tests. Julia's mental sharpness at 108 isn't just luck. It's the result of decades of eating the right foods. And walnuts are a big part of that. But here's the critical part that 90% of people get wrong. Portion size. Nuts are incredibly calorie-dense. A handful is great. A whole bag is too much. Julia eats exactly 1 small handful per day. That's about 10-12 almonds and 5 to 7 walnut halves. She never eats them mindlessly while watching TV. She treats them as a deliberate snack, usually in the mid-afternoon when her energy might dip. And she always eats them raw, never roasted in oil, never salted, never sweetened, just raw nuts. Because here's the thing, when you roast nuts at high temperatures, you damage some of the beneficial fats and reduce the antioxidant content. Raw nuts preserve all the nutrients. One more fascinating detail. Julia stores her nuts in the refrigerator. Because nuts contain healthy fats, they can go rancid if left at room temperature too long. Refrigerating them keeps them fresh and preserves their nutritional value. This is the level of attention Julia pays to her food. She doesn't just eat healthy things. She eats them in the healthiest way possible. Now, before we wrap up, I need to tell you about one more thing Julia does religiously. It's not a food, but it's just as important. She drinks water. A lot of water. Julia drinks at least 8 glasses of water every day. She starts her morning with a full glass before she eats anything. She carries a water bottle with her everywhere, and she never lets herself get thirsty. Here's why this matters. As we age, our sense of thirst diminishes. Older adults often become chronically dehydrated without even realizing it. This leads to fatigue, confusion, kidney problems, and accelerated aging. Water is essential for every single function in your body. It cushions your joints. It regulates your temperature. It flushes out toxins. It keeps your skin elastic. It helps your brain function properly. A study from the National Institutes of Health in 2023 found that people who stayed properly hydrated throughout their lives aged more slowly and had fewer chronic diseases than people who were chronically underhydrated. Julia avoids sugary drinks completely. No soda, no juice, no sweetened tea, just water. She also avoids caffeine, no coffee, no energy drinks. She believes caffeine disrupts sleep and creates an artificial energy cycle that's ultimately harmful. Instead, she gets her energy from real food, proper sleep, and staying hydrated. And at 108, her energy levels are better than most 60-year-olds. So there you have it. 5 foods that Julia Hawkins eats almost every single day to maintain her incredible health at 108 years old. Let's recap. Bananas for potassium, sleep, and sustained energy. Natural yogurt for gut health, protein, and bone strength. Leafy greens for brain health, cancer prevention, and vision. Beans and lentils for protein, gut health, and longevity. Raw nuts for heart health, brain function, and cellular protection, plus hydration. Never forget the water. Now here's what I want you to understand. These foods aren't magic. Julia didn't eat a banana one day and suddenly become superhuman. This is about consistency. This is about eating these foods day after day, week after week, year after year. For decades. Julia started eating this way when she was young, and now, at 108, she's reaping the rewards of those choices. But here's the good news. It's never too late to start. Even if you're 50, 60, 70, or older, your body will respond to better nutrition. The science shows that you can reverse damage and add healthy years to your life at any age. Julia herself famously said, "You're not going to be perfect at over 100, but nothing stops me." That's the mindset. Not perfection. Just consistent, common-sense choices. So here's my challenge to you. Don't try to change everything at once. Just pick one of these foods. Start eating it every single day for the next 30 days. Maybe it's adding a banana to your breakfast, or switching to plain yogurt, or eating a handful of raw almonds as your afternoon snack. Just one change. Prove to yourself that you can do it. And then add another. Before you know it, you'll be eating like Julia Hawkins. And who knows, maybe in 30 or 40 years, people will be making videos about you. If this video inspired you, if you learned something valuable, then hit that subscribe button right now. We're building a community of people who are serious about longevity and quality of life. And drop a comment below. Tell me which food you're going to start with. Hold yourself accountable. Make it public. Because information without action is worthless. And I know you didn't watch this entire video just to forget about it tomorrow. You're here because you want more. You want better. You deserve it. So make the commitment, subscribe, comment, and start eating for longevity today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Keep moving. Keep eating well. And remember, age is just a number.